Hello, I am Mike Hendrix from SMB Golf, and today my guest is Nick Anderson, founder and president of MemberSports, and this is the Tech Caddie podcast. Nick, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. This is kind of our classic PGA Show wrap-up, if you will. And I saw you in Orlando, and so I invited you to come on and give me your feedback on the show. For listeners, we will talk about MemberSports in detail, but how was the show for you as an exhibitor? Frankly, as like you made an investment to go to the show, I'm curious to get your feedback on how the show was for you.
Yeah, the show this year was definitely our best show that we've attended. This is our third time, and it was the best year by far. Like, I think our first day, we eclipsed what we did the entire 3 days the previous year, just as far as getting appointments, contracts, and everything. We had a solid day, and a lot of that had to do with the ability to prepare for it better with the PGA Show and the tools that they had. So it really helped out, and we utilized them. We executed on a lot of different strategies that we had, and a part of it had to do just being with, we've grown a lot in 2024, and we continue to grow, and people are more familiar with us. And so I think that was a big deal. And it seems that every year at this time, that's people are looking for new opportunities and new partners for their GMS.
Yeah, no question. The show, of course, it's PGA of America, but it's managed or put on by RX Global, formerly Reed Exhibitions, and I had some great experiences with RX. I thought RX did a good job, but it sounded to me like you mentioned you used some tools they offered to you before the show. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, there's more opportunity, I think, in the past that you've been able to kind of build your profile and really focus in on why you're attending the show. And I think they did a better job of that this year. They still have a lot of things that, of course, all of us can improve on things, but having two different apps was always a little difficult, where you had like the Lynx app, and then you had the old or the new Imperia app. I can't remember what the exact name of that is, but and even finding it, there was a few things, but being able to scan, put it in there, download all your contacts, export them, and being able to follow up with them was great. And I think still the biggest thing was the ability that most attendees and exhibitors, there was more detail and more ability for everyone to really put out there why they are attending. They did a better job at organizing that and coordinating it.
Yeah, I agree with that. We, as you know, we've got a data business where we provide data to people like you, and to be able to see individual general managers or directors of golf that said in their setup that they were looking for a T-sheet reservation system, where they were looking for point of sale. That's certainly great for somebody like you. And some of the operators, some of the technology companies like MemberSports that I talked to, there was a pregame, essentially. You knew who was coming to the show, and so you could take some steps to prepare for that, request meetings before you ever even got to Orlando. And I know that was, there's a lot of value for people like you to have that functionality.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that pregame was really good, just where we could search the attendees and reach out to those that are interested, and just offer an opportunity for them to stop by. We didn't sit there and say, hey, we want to do this whole thing. It's like, hey, come stop by, we're available this time, or we can share this, or hey, answer questions even before they got there. Was really through the communication piece of the app was very helpful, and we loved it. And I don't know if Wednesday was an anomaly for, I think a lot of people like to attend the first day, but the weather may have had something to do with it as well. Just people were inside, not out, doing maybe golfing or doing stuff. But it was one way or the other, it was a very good show. Especially the first day, it just felt like it was the busiest I've ever seen it. And maybe the PGA of America should move it to some really cold, desolate place that there's nothing else to do but to attend.
That's right. And so if you didn't attend the show, maybe you're in California or you're in Arizona or what have you, weather was horrible. And so that's
It's
all
cold.
good for the exhibitor. If the weather's horrible, then nobody goes and plays golf. And so I know it was demo day on Tuesday was even tough for some people to get through because the weather was so bad. But as a former exhibitor, you always were really excited when you knew the weather was bad because you were going to have a captive audience. And so I'm glad that worked out for you. I had the opportunity to use the media room quite a bit. And some of the people there, I just want to shout out Shannon Gilbert, Victoria Billoff. They were amazing to me, helped me with meeting space and just kept the whole setup up there running so smooth. So next time I see Don Ray, I'm going to mention to him that the team was outstanding. And I know those young ladies don't work for the PGA of America. They work for RX. But, you know, if you were an officer with the PGA of America, you'd be happy to hear that these people at RX did such a good job. So
yeah, they're an extension of it, right? Everyone's whether they work for RX or not, everyone's still thinking PGA of America. Like those are people there, and so the association is very important, and those partnerships are really important.
That's right. I talked to another founder, president, Tyler Arnold, who runs Eagle Club Systems, and he specifically mentioned to me that the people that helped him set up his booth, he said it wasn't like this before. They were, they were great. And so I got feedback from a lot of people that the team or the setup team, the management team, what have you, was really helpful. So that was good to hear.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, we had a great experience.
And hopefully you were also able to see existing clients. I know a lot of people that have your position love also, touching base with existing clients and getting feedback.
Yep, we did, and that's it's always fun to see them outside their element and kind of ask them questions of why they're there, what they're looking for, what they're doing, and get some feedback there too. But it's fun for them to kind of see us in our element of actually showcasing what we offer. They've been through it before, and we had a couple of them while we were talking right there with some interested parties. We just stood back and they sold it for us.
Right.
It was a really good experience, and people were always coming up, and we may have been busy, but they're just saying hi or coming in and just wanted to say hello and move on. And yeah, it's always great to see our current clients because they're the ones that make it all possible.
I know you had Spark Golf next to you, and those guys are really good buddies of mine. We work together back at Golf Now, and so it was great to be able to bump into Spark Golf. And I did see a ton of your competitors or colleagues or however you want to look at it. One thing I was surprised by, I did not see any kind of like new stop me in my tracks product or technology that I had not heard of before. I'd be curious to hear from you. Like, did you see anything that was a surprise or caught you off guard?
No, we talked a lot about this with our team. Like last year, I think dynamic pricing was a big buzz, even though it's been out for a little bit, but I think it was more golf courses were looking to utilize ways to increase their revenue without increasing pricing or doing different things. And that's been our whole model for 2024 is that exact mantra is just increase pricing or increase revenue without increasing pricing. And you do that through technology. And so we just spent the year, we launched a lot at the beginning of 2025 for the show, and we have some more coming out in Q1 and Q2, but the biggest things that we are doing, and I think others are just kind of doing a lot of good interfacing for the operator and the players and doing things with that. And yeah, I didn't see anything that was like, whoa, that's amazing. And I think there's going to be that probably next year. I think AI is going to have a big deal, look into that. I think AI is one that a lot of people are a little skeptical on, and you do have to be careful on how you use it. And information is always a very important piece on how to protect it and what you do with the information. I think a lot of people have concerns about that with some of it, but in the end, it's just, I've utilized AI more in the last year than I have in my entire life, just because everything that's worked on, our developers use it on the back end for certain things. We're looking to ways to implement it and make it work. And I think we're going to see it this year. I think there's a lot more that will be coming out.
I had several meetings that were focused on AI, but to your point, no one's actually rolled out a product, right? No, now I will say, certainly there are some voice guys in golf, the artificial intelligence answering the phone and booking a tee time. So I don't want to minimize that. That does exist, but I'm talking about AI at a much deeper level. I thought I would see it. I did not. I did have a couple CEOs show me what's coming, kind of took me behind the curtain a little bit and show me what's coming, but I did not see anything live, so to speak, which surprised me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's good, pretty normal, but yeah, I agree. There isn't a lot out there, but I think that's going to be the big push of how to integrate that into existing features that we all have.
Agreed. You mentioned dynamic pricing. I did not know, I think really until the show, I actually heard you mention it to someone in the booth. And I must say, I got a chance to meet other people on your team. And so I really appreciated that. And I was speaking like with your customer success manager, and I heard you say dynamic pricing. And I thought, oh, I'm not sure I knew that. So you guys are rolling out your own dynamic pricing. That would put you in the bucket of, there's a couple of other T-Sheet guys that have their own dynamic pricing. Of course, a lot of other T-Sheet people interface for dynamic pricing, but tell me about what you've built and obviously you built it because there was demand for it, but talk to us a little bit about your version of dynamic pricing.
Yeah, so we've spent a lot of time on this because we know the dynamic pricing tools that are out there, and they do a great job. And we like to sometimes we like to be the leader of certain things, and sometimes we like to kind of be the followers just based upon that, because dynamic pricing, it seemed like it was either you loved it or you hated it from the beginning. And there was a lot of things in there. And since, we have a big focus, we had a big focus last year on municipalities, like city courses and large municipalities with large operations. That's been a really good niche for us, because it's just with our compliance and our security and our ability to get off, fight off bots and everything. Like we've done a fantastic job with that from the beginning. But dynamic pricing was one that we just got a lot of feedback on how much control they felt they didn't have and how much more control they wanted. And so we built ours more upon, hey, we're getting the course, the city or whoever else, is going to be using it. We give them the full autonomy on how much they want to do and give them complete control. It runs automatically once you set it up, but you have to set it up. You set the parameters and there's rules. There's a lot of if this, then this. If this, then this, and you can create as many rules and as many functions that you want within it. It can be, per day, per week, per hour. I mean, you can get very, very much into the weeds on our dynamic pricing model.
Well, we're starting to see a separation in dynamic pricing as it relates to golf. So, and I'll just explain briefly. So, like the dynamic pricing that we built originally at Golf Now would be an if-then kind of environment, right? If utilization in this hour, this many days in advance is X, do Y, so to speak. And then we saw companies like PriceSwing come along that really kind of dialed up some of the machine learning in there. I think PriceSwing started to consider weather. We could have a whole conversation about weather. I could tell you, I think the golfer tells you what the weather is, right? The band tells you what the weather is. But anyway,
no matter how low the price is, you're not going to go out golfing in rain half the time.
That's right. But at any rate, PriceSwing, I'll give them credit. They definitely advanced dynamic pricing in golf.
Yes.
Then my friends at Sagacity came along and they certainly applied a lot more detail to it. One of the Sagacity's benefits is they are plugging in historical performance to help impact your dynamic pricing. And that's all great. I'm not here to judge, but I will say this. We did a podcast near the end of 2024 with Chad Pettingill, who runs the Ledges in Utah. Matter of fact, where you're located.
Yep. We know him. Yep.
And he specifically said to me, he was a Sagacity customer, and he has nothing bad to say about Sagacity, but he specifically said to me, he was seeing real results with kind of the original version of dynamic pricing, the if-then, like it didn't have to be as sophisticated as an airline uses, or maybe as sophisticated as a hotel uses to deliver results, right? And so now we're seeing you go that route. There's Pro Shop Tea Times out of Louisville, Kentucky. He's gone that route. a little more simple to use. And listen, I learned a long time ago, simplicity is a win, right? If it's easy to understand, then adoption goes up. And so again, I'm not here to judge. I don't want to be in that role.
Everyone operates differently.
That's right. Everybody operates differently. And we clearly are starting to see a separation where you're going to see more T-sheets say, yeah, we have a version of dynamic pricing and we think you can make a lot more money using it. And then you're going to have another version of like, yeah, it comes with its own account manager. And frankly, you're probably going to pay
you're going to pay for it.
Yeah. $1,000 a month or something, I mean, it's going to have some real cost to it. Yeah.
Right. And we share the same philosophy. That's kind of where, and ours is integrated. It's fully, that's one thing that we did from the beginning. Everything we do is something that we need to have complete control, everything we have built is proprietary to us. It's not to say that we don't have good partners. Like Tag Marshall is a great partner of ours that we, integrate with and ISVPay and some of our others with like range serving, things like that. Like those are things that are just really good integrations. And we have other ones that we're going to be working on this year because we see a lot of value in that. But as far as the operation goes and what it truly is on that stuff, that's where we want to control it. We want to be able to support it 100%. So we don't bolt things on here. It's under one house and it's all utilized and controlled and completely all in one platform and integrated together.
Right. Now, one of the coolest things, in my opinion, that you guys have ever built at MemberSports, and just to give people some background, the company kind of gets started in 2020, but you don't even really start adding golf courses until like 2022, 2023. 2023 is probably your first real year as you're serving multiple golf courses at that point.
Right. Yep.
Okay. You built this thing called self-pay, and I think that's a little bit of an extension off of your belief of like, hey, I think prepay is a good thing in golf. We see prepay in a lot of other industries, but it's also your acknowledgement that, but I get it, you don't want to float your buddies around to golf on your credit card. So you built this thing called prepay. Tell people what prepay is, because I actually think it's one of the better features available of any system.
Yeah, it's something we started right from the beginning, was just exactly like you explained it. But self-pay is just something that you can create a tee time, and it has to be a prepaid tee time. So when you go on golf is getting expensive, and it's hard to carry that $400, even up to $1,000 nut, and try to collect money from your friends. And it works okay. The old Venmo makes it very easy, very accessible to do, and it works there. But sometimes it's just nice and easy. As soon as you make that tee time, you put your friends in. If you have a foursome and you have 3 spots, you can send out an invitation to as many players as you want. And the first 3 to accept and pay, it sends them a link via text or email, however you want to put it in there. And they just hit accept, takes them to the platform or the app or just the web page, whatever it is. And they just say, yep, go through, pay, and it's done.
Think about how good that is too for like a group of 8, right? That just like, hey, they typically, these 8 guys, and maybe sometimes it's 7, maybe sometimes it's 6, but these 8 guys play together on Sundays. I don't know if I'm going to be in the first group or the second group, but Mike and Jim are going to send out the text message and I'm just going to fill it. Like, that's pretty convenient. That's pretty simple, pretty convenient. And again, like you said, that way you're not chasing down money from your buddy.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be hard, right? And it can be awkward sometimes.
It can,
and we even do it for the private clubs. So if the member wants to book a tee time and he wants to invite his 3 guests, but you don't want that awkward moment when they walk into the club and they're like, "Hey, is so and so paying?" And you're like, "I don't know if he pays," or whatever it is. If you already know, you can send them the link to pay as a guest right as you book the tee time for even a private club. So they can use it as well. And there's a lot of utilization there. But again, as you said, I'm a big proponent of prepay. I think that's where everybody should do, and they should adopt it sooner than later. And it only helps drive revenue through the course. And the players, you're going to have about a 3, maybe 6 months at the most, like hard time of people adapting. But I know every course that's gone to it has never regretted it, and they get past that point, and it's been phenomenal for them.
Yeah, Yeah. And yeah, I mean, Chad said the same thing because they've gone 100% to prepay. And yes, he said for a month, you know, you got to manage your team. You got to tell your team, like, hold the line and we're going to do this. Now it's not even on their radar that it's a problem. Everybody knows that's just how they run their business.
Yeah. And it opens up, what it does too is when they come into your shop, I do a lot of, I like to think a lot about why. Why did you get in this business in the first place? It wasn't to answer phone calls and try to do is to build and create relationships. And so when they come in the shop, you don't have to worry about your credit card machine not going, or if you're down, they've already paid, right? And you don't have to worry about all this. All you have to worry about is a great presentation and great customer service to give them a great experience. And then you can sell more merchandise too. Because a lot of times these people have paid, weeks in advance. And when they get there, they feel like the golf is somewhat free because they've already paid and they have a budget already to buy something else. And so it really opens up avenues that, hey, you can do, and you could even do a lot of, we have a lot of ideas. I can go on forever, but you could even do promos that, hey, if you prepay when you're switching into it, those that prepay, they get an extra 10% off any merchandise, or when they book it, it sends them an email and gives them a 10% coupon or code or whatever. So when they do come in, they can just use that. And so there's a lot of ways that our system could really help you utilize those transitions.
And I'll tell you, I know you guys definitely have made headway in the municipal space because we see that in the data that we track. For municipal golf courses, it also can, kind of help with like overages and shortages at the end of the day, right? A municipal
completely,
I would think, would want as much prepay revenue as they can. And they don't have to worry about if the cash register comes up $35 short, or the worry would be reduced, I would think.
Greatly reduced. And we've seen that and we've seen it with, I think, most of our courses, every single one of them that have gone prepay or even just have gone to secure with credit card have increased their revenue by double digits year over year. I mean, it's crazy how much you go because you don't have that last second cancellation. You don't have this. And they've always implemented a strict no-show policy with that within a certain time. If you can cancel within a certain time period, but once you hit that, there's a strict no-show policy. But like with our system, it's completely digital. So you don't have to worry about them coming in. If they call, you can just put it right back onto their profile. So next time they go online to check out, it's the rain check or the credits right there ready for them to use for the next time. So you never miss out opportunities to, refund credits. And maybe there's instances that you want to be, deliver good service and give a good experience and refund that to them. But most people understand it and they're like, oh, great, I'll just use it again. At another time.
So you mentioned that you like to have conversation with operators, and you literally said you like to ask them, why'd you get into this business? That's my question for you. You were in banking. I think you had a pretty good career going to Bank of America. Why MemberSports? Why did you do this? And think about, there's 30 people right now watching this that are considering getting into golf technology. Like, give them some advice. But why did you do it?
Timing worked out really well. My partner, Phil, and I, we met at this golf trip with a mutual friend out in Bandon Dunes. And I had been working. So I started golfing in 2007, right after college. And I was just, I did it out of need because I was in the finance world and I was taking clients out golfing. I hated golf. I thought it was a stupid sport. I was like, oh, this is the biggest waste of time. I could be doing something else for this long of a time, but I had to get through it and entertain clients and do things. But I quickly started loving it and I was getting better and better pretty fast. And I was like, okay, this is fun. And so I started, just working little by little. And pretty soon I just loved the sport. It became a passion of mine. And part of that is because I love human nature. I love the, study of the people, our behaviors and everything that we do. And golf is one of the best, determinators of like who we are.
Yeah. And it helps you to observe who people really are. You really get to know who they are watching them on a golf course.
I could go out golfing with a guy to 4 to 5 hours and I know exactly what type of person he is because I see how he reacts to bad shots, good shots. I can see how, does he obey the rules? Is he courteous? Is he like all these things? Golf just embodies the game of life that we play every day. And there's so many things out there and analogies that you can put into it, but you can really tell who people are. And, are they quiet? Are they loud? Golf brings out who you truly are. And you can really see that. And a lot of guys were like, they get mad hitting the shot. And I'd ask them like, how many times have you played this year? I did this to my brother and he's like, oh, this is like my second time. I was like, you're not good enough to get that mad if you've only played 2 times this year and it's August. And it's like, just enjoy it, go to the next shot and keep working at it. He's starting to love the game too. So little things like that, that's how we got into it.
How does behavioral science lead to founding a tech company?
Well, it was the passion. It was the passion of the game. And it was just like, we found this big need of, I knew some of the different software companies that have come along and they've made these big strides, but I felt like for the last decade, there just hasn't been that much of a push or that much of an advancement as much as I thought there could be, because technology is always advancing faster and faster. So I just said, Phil, I have all these ideas. He had all these ideas. We started talking and we said, we can do this, and we built it. And being part of a club and things, we found out that most of these operators were using 3, 4, 5 different systems. And so our goal was to, hey, we're going to have an all-in-one platform that nobody else has. And that was it. And so that's where we came into the marketplace, where we truly have all-in-one platform and can handle anything all together. So that was the big thing, is finding that type of a window and just having the passion for the game and being able to be out there and work with some of the greatest people on earth.
And how did you find, how'd you build a tech team? Maybe Phil, who you're mentioning, what's Phil's last name? Maybe Phil is a developer.
Phil Harker, that's his background. I was sales and operations. He was a software engineer. So and he already had connections with other software engineers. So we built our team with very experienced software engineers. And we were talking like the first 3 we had all had 20 plus years under the belt already of doing complex systems with some pretty big companies. And we continue to do that with every engineer. We still don't have an engineer with less than 15 years experience on our team. It makes a big difference.
Yes, for sure. So it sounds like it's not necessarily bootstrapped. It sounds like you must have gone and raised some money so that you could get some experienced people on board.
No, it's all bootstrapped. We just all friends and family and me and Phil.
Wow.
Yeah. We like I said, the opportunity was good. His timing was good, and everything that we had just worked out. And that was, we always feel like, there's a part when we first started where we're probably a year behind at where we thought we were going to be, because the very first thing we did, we had a bolted on POS system, and we had so many issues with it right from the beginning. Within like 2 to 3 months, we just said, no way we're going to deal with this. And we scrapped it. And this was in 2022. And we just built our own point of sale system. So we delayed our delivery date, it took us a long time. And so in 2023 we were supposed to do it in 2022. And that's when we just got like 2 courses on beta, doing everything. And in 2023, we had it. And then every year we just continue to enhance. But that was a big deal for us, knowing right from the beginning, the partnerships. And instead of relying on other people, only doing it with our team that has the experience, was to build it the way we wanted and get the feedback from everything we have is based upon feedback and golf professionals giving us their take and ideas.
And the platform is 100% in the cloud. Is that right?
100% in the cloud. Yep.
Okay, 100% in the cloud. In some of the data that we're tracking, we are starting to see you pop up in the private space. And so this is interesting, because like a lot of people usually pick one of 2 lanes. You're one of the few companies I'm actually seeing kind of grow in both. Tell me, is there a strategy, or did you realize actually the average contract value is higher in private, and so it makes sense to go into private? Give me some perspective on why private.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. So Phil and I both we're members at the same club, and so we knew the needs that they had, and that's where I think we're going to make more headway. Backing up, we originally built the software for private clubs, and it was interesting how we caught on early with public courses, because of some of the stuff that we offered to them that most private clubs have, but most public softwares don't offer and things. And so what we did was, our first strategy was, we had all this stuff for private clubs, and then we wanted to do a lot more with it. But we got into it and we were like, hey, this is, we just ran with where we went with the public sector, ran with that. But as we were building it, we were like, this is really cool that because we focus on the private club first, that public courses utilize a lot of stuff that the private courses do too. And that's why we're called MemberSports. We want every golfer to feel like they're a member at wherever they play. And we want to allow every course the ability to feel like, hey, they can offer membership services and deliver an experience that most people only get at private clubs. But we wanted to deliver that to everybody. And that was their main goal, to get into both, where we feel like, I think we're going to make the biggest difference in the private club sector. We think that, public courses are still going to probably, number wise, there's just more opportunity there number wise, but the dollar amount and contracts are bigger there because they're more complex. They do a lot more. Private clubs have a lot more complexities within the system that they can do, and billing and automations and things that their members want to see. And we help create that experience between them. Yeah. So if that makes sense. That's kind of how it went from here to here, and now it's back here. And we're really starting to have a strategy of focusing on private clubs this year, and then maintaining our current team with our public sector and growing that. But we also have another avenue that we're really going to explore this year.
You'll have to, at some point, you'll have to do an integration with Cap Patrol. The private clubs are loving this Cap Patrol because it keeps people honest on their handicap.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get those guys on the podcast because I think it's a cool concept.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool ones out there. We have our own handicap system that can override the USGA for tournaments and different things for the private clubs and for public if they need that. But I think there's way more that you can do with that, because I don't know if you've seen like the whole USGA table that shows like, hey, if you're this, like that fascinates me. That kind of data just fascinates me, where it's just, because I play in these tournaments and things, and I'm like, this guy's a 7 handicap and he shoots a 76, and it's like, what are you? That is impossible,
right?
And so or he's a 7 handicap and he shoots a 79 and goes, oh, I shot my handicap. I was like, that's not your handicap, bro. Yeah. That's not how it works.
To your point about maybe not doing a lot of integrations and building things yourself, I remember speaking with you last year in 24, and you were really happy with all the growth you guys had and the success you'd had in building tournament and event management. And I think tournament and event management is a bigger piece of MemberSports than it's not, if that's the right way to say it.
You're 100% right. And that's where we have really got into, this is our year. Like, we just launched our new events 2.0. We've released some we have 2.1 and 2.2 coming out over the next, 3 months to 4 months. And we have more iterations of that, to where public courses and private courses are going to be able to utilize or manage their leagues at a very detailed level. And then when you have tournaments, you can have outside tournaments that you can manage at a lot deeper level. We have budgeting, we have revenue, we have reporting, all of that built in. We have a whole registration process that is fantastic, where you can build out your own registration step by step, to where you want shirt sizes, you want swag, you want donations, you want whatever it is.
And does that include like paying the fee to play in the event as well?
Exactly. Yep. So golf associations, golf tournaments, golf, outside sources it's all stuff that we're looking at bringing in. And that's going to be that'll be our biggest piece of the first half of 2025 that we'll have completely done. And then we have a lot of new projects that we're going to be working on in the fall.
I think you'd mentioned to me on LinkedIn at one point that I think you were going to build your own version of Waitlist, and you were going to add that to your tee sheet.
Right.
And so, of course, then you got this event thing. You're growing more in private. You've got dynamic pricing. So, yeah, you really are becoming, solving a lot of those fringe cases, if you will, of some extras that people might request.
Yep. Yeah, and that's our whole goal. That's kind of where we wanted to do it. And in everything we do, we try to keep it simple. Like you said, the simpler it is, and just how intuitive and innovative it is, that's our goal, is to make it very easy for the user to have. And one thing that we focus on that I don't know, I'd love to get your take on this. One of our things that we saw that there was a big gap in is how the the golf course interacts or doesn't interact with the players. They try to, but technology, there was a gap between that. And so our app is very much driven towards being able to the player to be able to have a good experience and the golf course to have a really good and deliver a good experience and have a good experience themselves. And so we have this connectivity that we're always striving to do between the player and the course, where I think for the most part, it's most of the tech companies focus just on the course, or they do one or the other. They focus on the player or they focus on the course. And that's another area that we're really trying to bridge that gap is make that a more cohesive relationship.
Right now. But so there's a real difference here. And we should point this out. I don't, if I understand correctly, you don't generate revenue from the golfer. It's just that you're trying to provide a better experience for the golfer.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything for the golfer is included with the software, but it gives the golf course the ability to give them a better experience and give them something that they don't have to pay for. It's all included.
Right. And you don't have a tee time marketplace or anything like that, but there is kind of an Uber app, if you will, where like the golfer could get the MemberSports app and use it at multiple golf courses.
They can use the GPS and scoring at every course in North America, and it's directly linked to the USGA and the GM handicap system. So when they post their score, it automatically uploads it. Each course can have the ability to edit and create their own style of app within the app. So when the player clicks on, a course and it goes to that, pops up that courses where they could have highlights, they can have news, they can have different announcements on there, and then it has all the different things where you can order food and things like, and it's all tailored and designed by the course.
Oh, nice. Now, can I use, because you show this on your website, you have e-scorecard, I think, listed on your website. I can use the MemberSports e-scorecard at a golf course using Club Profit?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So that's kind of cool. But then if the golf course is a MemberSports client, they can maybe customize some of that.
Correct. They'll be able to customize it. They'll be able to book their tee times, order food, whatever the course provides. They're going to be able to do all that stuff. They can use their credit there. They can use their rain checks, their gift cards, whatever it is. It's all built in. So if it's a private club, they'll be able to see their account, make payments, update their, profile link, whatever it might be.
Yeah. So if that's not enough, then because that is impressive, like you really do have a lot of these, like I said, these kind of fringe requests that come in, and you seem to have checked a ton of those boxes, which is great. But so that's not enough. If you go to your website, it's clear that like you guys are already making headway in pickleball, and it looks like you want to be a player in other sports as well, tennis, soccer, etc.
Yeah, and that's down the road, but that's the vision of it too, is like we feel that golf is probably the most complex sport, but we also feel that as we get in with cities more and more, that there's a rec center piece of that, and there's a rec leagues and different things that really work hand in hand with the way that we build it. We build things with that in mind, where we can tweak a few things to get into other sports. And pickleball is one that we have an app for it that's ready to go, and we have a schedule sheet that you can on our system that you can reserve courts, you can reserve simulators and things like that. You can customize it to whatever you want, whether you have one simulator and 3 courts or what, like you can use the schedule sheet to customize it based upon what you have. And so the simulator game and lounges is getting really big. And so we have a schedule sheet just for them, and then other clubs can use it for their pickleball courts, tennis courts, banquet rooms, whatever it is. There's a lot of things that they can do with that schedule sheet.
Interesting. Did you have a chance to see the whole pickleball area at the PGA Show?
I did. Yeah, and it was pretty awesome. We were going heavy into the pickleball space, and we kind of put a little pause on it just because we had so much going on in the golf, and that's our main focus. But we also know it's coming down. We have a really good app, like I said, that keeps score, and it's very good. It does a really good job at connecting you and doing everything with that. But yeah, it's that pickleball. It's interesting how that's really taken off, and it's related to like golf and a lot of other things.
Yeah. The first time I got introduced to pickleball was the PGA Show. They got Hank Haney to essentially come and not do anything with golf, but to endorse pickleball. It obviously took off from there. So what's 25 look like for you? Do you have a queue of installs that you guys are working on? And talk about that a little bit too. Like, I don't know, do you guys go on site? How do you do installs at MemberSports?
We do. It's really based upon, the needs of the course and just what they're doing, because everything we do is modularized. So it could be something to where, they're very simplistic or it's very complex. But yeah, we have quite the lineup right now of courses and installs in the first quarter and beyond. We already have some set up for the spring, summer, and even in the fall. It's been really good, but we do we're very deliberate on our training, making sure they get enough training beforehand, the team's all there, but then we do in-person installs because we feel it's very important that, they may not need it right now, but we'll pick a day later on in the year, at the beginning of their golf season, depending on where they're at. We go down there and even with their current clients, we'll go spend a day with them or a half a day with them. And it's amazing what you can come up with and hear and see and help them. And so we always try to deliver like everything we do. We don't nickel and dime you. We have an onboarding fee, but that just completely covers all of your training, all of your support for the life of the contract. So it's once you're on with us, it's your monthly fee and that's it. Like you don't have to worry about us coming back and saying, hey, you gotta, because you're gonna do this, you need this. Everything's included, unless there's some big project like a reporting project or something that they want very tailored and specific towards them. We'll quote them on certain things, but yeah, we just really try to keep it simple and give everything that we have to offer all in one package.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you are in Utah. I don't know if we mentioned that. Why are there so many golf developers in Utah? What is going on in Utah where there's all these tech companies in golf?
I don't know. I think it was just something, Forup did a really good job. They started here, and I think that was just something that I don't know. I think it's it's kind of a secondary tech hub. You got Silicon Valley, and then they call Utah Silicon Slopes, and there's a lot of tech companies here. So I think that just has something to do with it. And golf is very popular. That's one of the reasons I stayed here in Utah. I'm from Montana, and so I came down, and I didn't think I was going to end up in Utah, but I love to ski and golf. And man, the value you get for golf here and skiing is it's unbeatable to do both.
Yeah. Did you go to school in Utah, college in Utah?
Yeah, I did. I went to the University of Utah.
Okay. Got
you. Yep.
Yes. Go Utes. There you go. Well, look, this has been great. Obviously 4Up is, in my mind, it's a big success because they got acquired, right? The founders, really got paid, if you will, and it worked. And I'm not trying to get too ahead of yourself, but I mean, I assume at some point, acquisition, it would be something you guys would consider. And that's kind of how this whole deal works.
Yeah. And I know most people will say this or whatever it is, but I've got a lot of years ahead of me. I'm not looking, I don't know what I would do with myself if I did that. This has been a passion project of mine from the very beginning of when I started golfing. These ideas have been there, and this is something I've always wanted to do. So this is something I'm going to be doing for as long as I can. And yeah, if opportunities come up, I want to make sure it's the right one. We've seen what it looks like to go with private equity groups and things like that. And one of our goals is to make sure that everything that we decide upon and decide to do, there's always going to be an element of control and ability so that we never lose sight of what's important. And the support level, the response time, things like that are also important to us, that we're going to do everything we can no matter what the future holds. But I've got at least good 10 years of, if not more, that I'm just really focused on doing, because there's a lot that I want to accomplish.
Well, that's right. And you've got these other verticals that can be part of MemberSports, right? In other words, these other sports. So yeah, you've got plenty to chew on for at least 10 years, as I see it.
And no matter what we do, we're never going to lose sight of the fact of our golf. Like, we would definitely do them as divisions and completely run and manage them offsite. So our golf division is our main focus and priority right now. And who knows, hopefully we get to those other versions, and it might take longer, it might come sooner, but depending on how much success we continue to have and what we do, that's going to be a big factor.
Well, okay, great. So, I had said to our viewers that we'll add another video on the end of this one that provides some more wrap up on the show. But I did want to get your perspective. I thought your perspective as like I said, someone that traveled really across the country to be an exhibitor. I thought it was important to hear from you how the show was, and then take advantage of the opportunity to learn more about MemberSports. So hopefully some people learned some good things, and we wish you guys nothing but the best for 2025. And I guess we'll see you in Orlando in 2026.
Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. And we've had a great experience, so we'll continue to do that.
Okay. Thanks, Nick.
Hey, thank you.
So just a follow-up piece on the article that we wrote about Athena, and then dovetailing into wrapping up the PGA show. During the PGA show, Will McIntosh, who's the president of NBC Sports Next, went on TV in an interview with Golf Channel, and they talked about Athena. And I want to be fair, because in our initial article, we had a couple questions about data. And Will really did address those in the interview with Damon Hack and Rex Hoggard. So I actually think he was very transparent about it. Could have been a little more cagey, but he was not. It's up to the golf industry. It's up to golf course owners and operators as to what you make of what he said. And so I'm just going to relay what he said. We'll put some quotes up, make it really clear. We'll put a link up to the video of the interview. But he did essentially confirm that Golf Now is going to use the data from every golf course they have been working with for, he talked about a 10-year journey. So theoretically, it's looking back over 10 years worth of data. And they're going to use that data to generate what he called fair pricing for the consumer. A lot of the interview, he referenced the golfer or the consumer along with the golf course operator, or what Golf Now sometimes refers to as partners. And so when I was in doubt as to exactly what data they were going to use and what they were going to do with it, he confirmed that he referenced almost 10,000 golf courses they work with. What does that 10,000 represent? Let's be clear. In our initial article, we broke down the different layers of customers that Golf Now has. And I think we're going to put that up on the screen as well. There's a group of golf courses that use a tee sheet point of sale technology platform provided by Golf Now. There's a subset of those customers that pay Golf Now additional monies for service, pricing services, marketing services. And then there's a large contingent of golf courses that sell their tee times in the Golf Now marketplace, but they do not use Golf Now's tee sheet or Golf Now's point of sale. What Will is saying is, no matter what group you are in, we have your tee time data, and we're going to use that data to help generate, again, fair pricing. Damon Hack comments, one of the interviewers comments, I'm sure the golfer is going to love that. Again, it's up to you to interpret that. I'm just here to share the information. And I think we're going to put quotes up of exactly what Will said. He also referenced that technology is important to Golf Now because without the connection or connectivity to the golf courses, the Golf Now marketplace wouldn't be of great value. And so he made it very clear that Golf Now values integrations and they value the connection to golf courses so that the Golf Now marketplace can be successful. Now, that doesn't mean that he's saying he doesn't care how their partners perform. I think it's contrary to that. Everyone at Golf Now wants their partners to perform well, or else they won't remain their partners, right? So it's not to say that, but he made things clear in the interview. One, the integrations matter, the connection to the golf courses matter. That's good for the Golf Now marketplace. Two, looking back over the last 10 years, any data we collected, we're essentially going to use that and apply machine learning and artificial intelligence to generate pricing. I think they referenced maybe offering 50,000 different price points in a day or something like that. Probably could get a little more clarity on that. So listen, I salute Will McIntosh in being really transparent. He told you exactly what they're going to do. And as I said a moment ago, it's now up to the golf course managers, operators, owners to make decisions based on the information that he shared. So just wanted to put this quick video together, show you some of those quotes. as a follow-up to that article that we wrote. So thanks for tuning into this previous episode of the Tech Caddie, and here's to a great 2025.